What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday and welcome to another happy hour with yours truly and another amazing woman from the trades. Today we are going to be joined by a woman by the name of Andrea Havlin. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Now, I've not met Andrea, but she is a union millwright, steel worker. She's done a number of different things within that whole segment of the industry. She's been in the industry for, I believe, like 20 years or something insane like that. She's also a single mom of 2 daughters, and she's just all around a total badass. I've not met her yet. I'm super excited to hear her story. I've been following her on Instagram for some time, and so now we just have to wait for her to join us. I don't see her here quite yet. I'm gonna actually, let's see. I'm gonna try to send an invite to her. Let's see if we can make some magic happen here. Bear with me one moment, folks. All right, I see her in the room. So, our guest today, like I said, there she is. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I am super excited about tonight.
Me too.
Very cool. I'm so grateful you said yes, because you don't know me from Adam, but
You are. I mean, you're amazing. Everything you've done and all the SEMA builds. I mean, you've done so much for women.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You've been doing quite amazing work yourself, so it's an honor to meet you. So I want to dig in, but I want to have you introduce yourself a little bit real quickly, kind of the nutshell, bird's eye view of who you are and what you do.
Well, everybody knows my background with almost 20 years in the steel industry. I spent probably about 12 years of that doing heavy duty welding fabrication, which is really my passion, what I really enjoy doing. Kind of got out of that and have been rearranging things. I relocated from the Midwest to California to get into education and teaching welding. Then COVID hit. It's not been kind to education or anything really at this point.
No.
So my plans kind of shifted a little bit. I'm not focusing 100% on education like I intended to do. Recently, I just started a job with a local water district. And I'm doing something, it's kind of unique. Only a few water districts have the position. It's called Zanjero. And basically what I do is go around and divert water from the canals to different distributions for agriculture or commercial clients. So it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
And I'm finding out, which I didn't know this, but there's not a lot of women in that side of the water industry here, at least in this district. There's a lot of women in administrative roles, maybe meter readers. I've heard there was a couple in construction, but I'm not seeing it in mechanical or electrical trades. And I wasn't prepared for that walking in, thinking, you know, this is new times, and people are congratulating me and saying, you know, it's about time that women are coming in on this end. So here we go again.
Did you not encounter that in your other positions?
I think in the steel mill, we were definitely a minority, but over the course of, 20 years, that was changing. Obviously still a minority, but much more accepted in those roles. A lot of the women in the steel mills traditionally were crane operators or equipment operators, and then there was a big change in that where women were doing a lot more of the heavy work that, that was really physical and stuff, and also getting into the trades, the electrical and mechanical trades. So
yeah,
I think the climate's changing.
That's awesome. I mean, we see a lot of women in welding these days. I think we're seeing a whole lot more women getting into the industrial trades in general. But I don't often see a lot of ladies in like really the heavier industrial kind of work that, at least from your pictures, seems like you're doing, and kind of like really intense stuff. So it's good to hear that there's more women showing up there as well.
Right.
In your 20 years, because I talk to a lot of ladies who are newer to the industry, and I think that's like the reality, right? There's this generational thing happening where we're starting to see more ladies, but a lot of the ladies that are new to the industry. You've been in the industry for 20 years. I'm right there with you. I'm curious your perspective because you're on a different side of things. You say you've seen some changes. What are you seeing in how it's different from when you kind of first came up to now?
I think it's more accepted, women coming in, that they're not just hired based off of gender to fill, a quota. I believe that more and more people see that, we're being hired based on a resume, based on their skills, and, being put into the jobs that they didn't consider us for in the past. Um, I think there's still a lot of room for growth. I know one of my biggest complaints is I go into these jobs, in the steel mill, also at the water district, they provide uniforms. And of course, they don't have uniforms for women. So to me, it's kind of insulting when I can't get a uniform that was made for my body. Or they'll say, oh, it's unisex. And it's not, it's men's clothes. And it almost
No.
feels like you're visiting here. This is not your career. We don't have clothes for you. So I think one thing, I have so much on my plate at all times, but one of my dreams was to help develop PPE line for women. And
Amen to that.
I know, and I really think, or I'd at least like to have input on design, having to wear it for this long.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good companies out there that are making progress for that.
I agree. We're starting to see more of it, but I think you're 100% right. And it sounds so petty to say that, and I hear people be like, okay, so uniforms, what's the big deal? But you're right. It is like we're not welcome. We're just visiting. It's just this assumption. And I love that, like unisex. Unisex means men's, right? Like, and it's a real issue. We've talked about this in our happy hours in the past. Like, it's not safe for us to be wearing clothing that doesn't fit us. It's
No.
not comfortable, and we're not going to be at our best if we're not wearing comfortable clothing. And it's just so invalidating
Right.
of who we are. Like we deserve to have clothing that fits us, you know. But it is cool to see more and more companies, starting to do that. I'm seeing uniform companies that are providing women's stuff. Maybe not flattering women's stuff, but it's women's stuff. It's a start.
It is a start. You're getting there.
And I recently bought this really awesome pair of women's steel-toed work boots, and I'm like, yes,
Right?
women's work boots that are like actually sized for us and comfortable.
Right.
Such a
Yeah, that's the
win.
big thing. Comfortable and functional. So yeah,
Right? What a concept.
it's funny that we get that excited over it too.
I know, I know. I remember having a conversation with Snap-on about all their like different colored tools and like how silly it seems to say this, but having them do things that reach out to the female demographic is just so much bigger than I think they even realize because it does validate our presence.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how did you get into all of this mess?
Um, well, it started off in high school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was pretty good at writing, never really wanted to make a career out of it. I didn't want to be into high pressure journalism or anything. So going into college, I went for marketing communication because it was kind of general and I can go in different avenues with that.
Yeah.
And kind of my third year, I decided, this isn't what I want to do. I'm not happy. And I was looking for a job while I was going to school. One of my neighbors worked in the steel mill, and he said, you should apply. We're hiring. So I went ahead and gave it a shot. And at the time, we hired you start out as laborers. So you sweep the floor, shovel up slag, and whatever else. And then you learn jobs as you go. But it's kind of funny because my grandfather worked security for a steel mill back in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when I told him I got hired and was going to be working in the steel mill, he said, well, whatever you do, don't work in the BOF, which meant basic oxygen furnace.
Okay.
And he was stationed outside there, and he said it's very dangerous there. And ironically, that's exactly where I ended up.
Of
And
course.
I loved it. It was amazing. That was my favorite place to be. There's a lot of action going on with, the overhead cranes carrying ladles of molten steel and molten iron, and big scrap boxes being fed into the furnaces. And I pretty much worked every production job there before going into maintenance. So it was really cool to have a hand in actually making steel. It was fun.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I've never seen any of that, and just what you're describing sounds just so cool. I'd love to check it out.
It is really neat.
So what were you like, what did you do in that room? Say the name of the room again?
Well, it was a department. It was called
Apartment.
DOF for
BOF?
basic oxygen furnace.
Okay.
And it was just a department. It was primary operations where we had two furnaces, and basically you took molten iron and poured it onto scrap metal that was loaded into a furnace, and then they used oxygen to heat it up to about 3,500 degrees or so. And we added different additives based on whatever the customer's order was. We did automotive, appliance work. Pipe was our really big customer. So yeah, it was where the action was,
That's so cool.
right?
And so now you are what is entailed in the job that you're doing? Are you making the stuff that is diverting water, or how is that?
So I'm in Southern California, not
Okay.
not too far from you.
Okay.
And I believe they have similar jobs like this in Arizona as well.
Probably.
Our water source coming from the Colorado River. It actually goes down the canal, diverted towards Mexico, then comes up a big canal, Coachella Canal for us. And basically to feed the agricultural clients, they have meters to supply the fields and whatever else, and there's commercial clients or construction. So basically, I have to go around and check a bunch of meters every day. Also, I have to calculate based on customer orders how much water to send from the canal, where to send it,
Okay.
and work those meters along the way. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot more intense than I thought it was going to be. Um, Today, I think there was about 120 meters that we checked. So that's 120 times when jumping in and out of a truck and maybe climbing a ladder. So yeah, it's a very physical job. You're outside all day long. You drive about 150 miles in your shift.
Wow.
So it's getting it.
Coming from what you came from in that like 3,000 to 3,500 degree temps, like for you to say that this is more intense than you anticipated is
Right?
that's saying a lot.
It is, and then we have the desert heat. So it's going to
Right.
get really interesting here soon. But no, so far I like it. I'm still training. I've been there less than a month.
Oh, wow.
But also, right now I'm at my other job. I'm working at College of the Desert. Our welding programs are still not up from COVID. So I'm helping out in the HVAC department,
Oh,
in the
interesting.
lab tech. So definitely, I think, especially here, what I noticed in Coachella Valley, there's not a lot of welding education going on. A lot of people have to drive an hour away or more.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I would like to bring a really functional program here where it's needed, and really help change up some stuff. So that's a goal that I'm working towards.
Yeah, absolutely. That's surprising to hear that there's so little, like an hour to go get welding education. Is that
Right.
like, are you talking high school level, college level, or just in
College
general?
level, college or trade school. I know College of the Desert here. They reach out with the high schools, and they do a program where high school students can enroll for college credit.
Oh, nice.
So even with our HVAC program, they can do that. But the welding actually is at one of the local high schools. We don't even have our own facility.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of room for expansion here.
Yeah.
Just when and if we can get in person going again.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you doing classes there at all right now, or?
Just the HVAC. So as close as I get is a little bit of brazing here and there. So, still kind of doing it. As far
Yeah.
as welding goes, I do side projects. I'll take work, fences, gates, metal art, pretty much anything that comes my way, because I miss welding every day, and especially the heavy fabrication part of it.
Yeah.
So I keep it as my hobby too. I'm never going to give it up.
Yeah. It sounds like you've done so many different things within the trades, like so many different areas and aspects of stuff. Like anything that comes up, you're like, yeah, I'll do it.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
down for it.
yeah. Yeah, I've tried a lot because when I left the steel mill, obviously I had been confined to one space, for 19 years, almost 20. Um, when I left there, I went to the Union Millwrights, which basically they threw me back into steel mills, and I did almost the same thing I was doing, but I was working as a contractor rather than in-house.
Oh,
Um, Yes. So then I also tried a little bit of getting out there to travel as a millwright. Hard part about it is being a mom, and that's always my top priority. My girls are probably watching right now, and
hi
they're my
girls.
biggest fans, right?
How old are they?
One's about to be 13 and one is 15, or one's about to be 14 and one's 15.
Nice. So very close in
Mhm.
age. So you've had your hands full,
A little bit.
getting into
So I
teenage
think I
years
would
here.
have tried more, especially with the traveling. There's plenty of opportunity for high dollar jobs that really just don't fit my lifestyle. So I'm kind of confined to what I can do and where I can work. So I'm really open to trying different places or different careers as long as it fits into me being a mom.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you've been a single mom for like the bulk of your career, haven't you?
Most of it, yes. My girls were pretty young when I was divorced. I think they were 3 and 4.
I know that's it's a topic that kind of comes up often, and you've probably been asked about this and talked about it ad nauseum. But for women, obviously there's the balance, there's the struggle between career and family, and you had youngins, and you were in a very intense career. I think a lot of the younger women that I talk to, they have concerns around that, and how do you balance all of that? Like what was your how did you survive that? How do you balance it all?
I would say being in my 30s probably helped because I functioned on about 3 hours of sleep. It was not easy. I tell everybody, my life was crazy, work hard during the day, pick up the kids, drive them around to whatever activities they were doing, feed them, cook dinner, go to the grocery store, whatever I had to do. I was also a homeowner, so I had a house to maintain, dogs to take care of. So at the end of the night, it could be 2 in the morning and I was vacuuming or doing laundry and then taking a nap and going back and doing it again. So it was exhausting. And I did that for years. And then I hit a wall at one point.
Not shocking.
Right. I just, you can do something for so long and then just it got really difficult and something had to give, and you just have to decide there needs to be a change up somehow. I have to give something up somewhere and my kids are always going to be my priority. So I just kind of had to look at different options career wise.
So is that when you left the steel mill?
Yeah, honestly, so there was a college out here, San Bernardino Valley College, that kind of turned me on to welding education. I really never thought about it for myself. It wasn't something, maybe, retirement plan. Didn't think of it now, but after talking with them and finding out that California pays, adjunct instructors pretty well, that I could actually be home more and still make enough to support the family and everything. So moving to California was kind of it was definitely all about doing something for the family. And then when everything changed, now I'm back and working a little more than I would like to, but I'll find my balance here soon.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think once things settle down with COVID, you'll stay? I mean, maybe we shouldn't discuss this because who knows, we'll be watching. But do you feel like you're enjoying what you're doing and you want to stay on this path, or you feel like you might switch things up if once COVID settles down, hopefully soon?
It's kind of go with the flow, whatever seems to be working for me best and fit in, and make us, have a happier kind of lifestyle, so I'm always willing to try new things. I'm diverse in that. But education seems to be kind of a priority for me at this point because after going to FabTech a few times and reaching out to students and working with ESOB at their welding booth and, really getting to know them and talk to the students, it kind of, it seems like especially as women, our role as educators really helps with the workforce coming in, because with males and females, it kind of just makes it more normal that if they've had women instructors, that when they go out into the career world or whatever path they want to take, that they don't look at gender anymore. It's just completely natural. So I think that us taking that kind of role is important.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think it's so huge. And, I was talking recently to a friend about how many women instructors in the trades we know and how freaking cool that is, because you really are a part of raising up the next generation to not see gender, right?
Right.
Obviously we're going to see it, right? We know somebody's a boy or a girl, but not care about that, where you're just a millwright, you're just a welder and not a female fill in the blanks, right? And
Exactly.
I think kids are growing up in a different world right now. It's really exciting to see. Like, to your point earlier, we have a lot of work to do still, but we're
We're
not there
making
yet.
progress.
But it's exciting, and your contribution as a teacher is huge, absolutely huge.
Right. Well, there's so many inspirations too, especially with the welding field. We have so many great people that you meet when you go to Fab Tech or
Yeah.
through Instagram. There's a lot of people that I'm proud to call friends that are just amazing educators. So when I need help, I'm like, hello, help me out here. What do you do in this case, and
Yeah.
whatever. So there's a huge support network there.
It is indeed. I love social media for that. The way that it has connected us, because when we were first coming up, that wasn't a thing.
No,
Right?
not at all.
I read something. It was an interview with you at some point. I don't remember where it was, but you kind of talked about the feeling like you needed to prove yourself. That people looked at you like you didn't belong. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
That's happened in a few job scenarios. A lot of times when, especially somebody that's been doing the same thing for a really long time, and when women start coming in and doing it, they're uncomfortable by it. They're not used to working with women. They don't think it's a job fit for a female to do. So there's a lot of preconceived notions. They don't take you seriously. They don't want to work with you. People will start rumors, that make no sense. So there's been a lot of times where I've worked with some people that turn around and say, I've worked with you all day, but I heard this and this and this, and it's absolutely not true. So you have all that to combat. So you have to be strong. You have to have a really thick skin and just be able to tune that out and do your own thing. But I also found that those same miserable people, once you do succeed and you are doing a good job, just make sure you're not better, because once you're better, now they have another reason to go after you. So there's a fine line there.
Isn't
And
that such an interesting double-edged sword, right?
right,
Like
do good, but not too good.
right. Yeah. I think your words were like people were waiting for you to fail in
Right.
this interview. And like, I feel like all of us ladies in this industry have kind of experienced that, especially when we're newer to it. Is this like, oh, let's see how long she lasts. Can she handle it? Can she deal with it? Right. And then you do, and you gain this respect. And then, yeah, heaven forbid you be better than them.
Right. And yes, I think in my career, there's been several times I was set up for failure. And just me being as stubborn and strong-willed as I am, I take it as a challenge. And okay, let's do this.
Were you always stubborn and strong-willed?
Yes, 100%. It runs in my family.
Nice. I love it. How did your family respond to you going down this path?
So I have an amazingly supportive family, and they may not have always agreed with what I wanted to do, but they've always supported me in my crazy decisions on any of this. My dad raised me to be strong-willed and just do whatever I want. I used to love going mudding with him and, getting dirty and, wrenching on cars and whatever, he was doing. I wanted to be out there doing it too. My grandmother would make me wear dresses and I'd come home with bloody knees from, playing and running around. So, it just, I've had such an amazing role model and my father, and my stepmom's been just amazing in supporting me, even when she didn't agree with my thought process. And everyone has really been great. And I've just had an amazing network of friends, and coworkers, that even if, there was 90% that were, bad apples, I had just an amazing support network of the really good people.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it only takes one sometimes, right? Like you just need
Right.
one ally, one supportive person to make all the world of difference.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was a point where everything was falling apart for me. I mean, 100% everything. And just knowing that there was one person out there that seen my struggle and knew what I was going through. So in my head, I wasn't crazy. In my head, I knew that they were there to say, no, this is happening. This, it doesn't make any sense, but this is happening. Um, that is enough to help pull you through some bad things.
Yeah. So note to everybody who's watching, be that person.
Right, and absolutely. And a lot of times I'll share things that may or may not be happening to me, but I like to talk about, what people might be going through, in their personal lives or struggles. I'm not embarrassed to talk about the struggles and failures that I've had because I believe that somewhere someone needs to hear it. Someone is going through something very similar and they need to hear that, if I can make it out of things I have, you can do it too. And that you're not alone. Nobody goes through all of this, just them. Everybody has faced some kind of adversity somewhere.
Yeah. No, I think it's so important because social media, particularly, like we see everybody's highlight reel. We don't necessarily see the challenges or the hard times or the failures. And you're right. Like people need to see that. They need to know that they're human and that what they're going
Mhm.
through is not weird. It's not, something bad about them. It's that they're human and we all go through
Right.
struggles and it's okay. We come through it. What do you think has been your biggest challenge throughout your career?
Basically the home life balance, a lot of it, because a lot of working in the trades either requires travel or shift work of some sort. So, balancing daycare and, just trying to provide and do the things you need to do as a parent. I tell everyone I have a lot of mom guilt because of all the things that are structured throughout the day, the recitals that I missed, and parent teacher conferences and things that I always had to juggle around or see if their dad could go or if my parents could make an appearance for me. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of mom guilt when you're a woman in the trades, definitely.
Yeah, I think probably working women who work in general. I was about to say working
Hmm.
women, but that has a different connotation entirely. Women in the workforce, I think we all kind of struggle with that, which is interesting in and of itself because I don't know that men have that same experience of, and I don't know. There's probably a lot of amazing men who do, but
Hmm.
it's not
I think most
expected.
single parents probably have, a lot of the same issues, that a single mom face, a single parent is juggling the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So your kids are going into teenage years, or just started out in teenage years. Um, are they involved in the kind of work and doing trades type stuff, or what are they thinking they want to be when they grow up?
It kind of goes back and forth a lot with the both of them. I've exposed them to a lot of different things because I don't know if I want to push them into the trades.
Sure.
By all means, I will support that if that's what they choose. But pretty much their whole life, Saturdays are what I called adventure days, and we would go do something that we never did before, or something that we enjoyed to do together, or go see someplace we've never been.
I love that.
Just basically to get them out there to show them possibilities. I've let them try blacksmithing. They've both done some welding. I wanted to take them glass blowing. We never did that one yet.
Not
But
too
whatever,
late.
whatever it is. Right. So there's always stuff to try and things to do. And even here with COVID going on, there were in Southern California, you can feel like you're on vacation in 2 hours. Just drive this way or drive that way. There's the mountains, there's the coast,
Yeah.
obviously the desert. So we're always exploring things. But I know one daughter might lean towards welding. The other one's not really into getting dirty, but she likes to design things.
Okay.
So she might be the one putting together the projects, and me and her sister can complete them.
Nice. I love the tradition, the Saturday exploring, doing something different. I think that's fantastic.
Right.
I think all
And
the
they're not too much on board as, teenagers now. They're kind of like, oh, mom's lame and this is dumb. Until they see it on TikTok. And then mom's kind of cool because, mom suggested this and now someone posted it. So yeah, there's a
that's
lot of
amazing. Teenagers.
that.
Right. They may not think you're very cool now, but in a few years they'll come back to thinking you're cool. They'll look back on it. I think that's so important, giving them the opportunity to just explore all the things. And
Right.
I hear trades folks on both sides, like, no, I will never let my kid do this, or I'm so upset that my kid isn't wanting to do this. And
Right.
it's like, you gotta let your kid do what they want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I try not to put limits on it or try and persuade them in any way. It's just whatever they want, and okay, you want to try this? Let's go try this, and see what they think.
Yeah, absolutely. So teaching is something that you want to continue to do more of. Are there
Yes.
other things on your bucket list of things that you want to try that you haven't yet?
Probably more travel. I've never been outside of the country, so that would be fun. But I'm just, I kind of go with the flow. Just go see and do and try. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I would still do, but I mean, nothing that I can nail down
Okay.
particularly,
All right. Fair enough. And you started out where you moved to California. Where did you grow up?
I live near Chicago,
Oh,
mostly in Northwest Indiana.
okay. Big adjustment going from
Yes, very much so.
I'm in Chicago right now, actually. This is not my living room. This is a lovely hotel room. And it's cold here, so you made the right choice.
That was my thinking. I was not liking. I worked right on Lake Michigan, and that's not a pleasant place to be in the winter.
No.
Right.
No. So
So
and you've
desert,
been go ahead, sorry.
the desert was perfect for me. I have really bad allergies, and coming out here was pretty much a game changer for me too. For
Oh yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in New York and moved to Arizona for kind of the same reason, snow and allergies.
There you go.
I'm not a fan of snow.
No, not anymore.
No. And it snowed here yesterday. It
In
was
Chicago,
awful. It was awful. I can't.
my kids are gonna be mad because they miss it.
Oh, they missed the snow?
They do.
Oh, yeah.
So they say. I don't know if they were actually in the snow, they might not miss it as much, but.
Right. It sounds good in theory.
Mhm.
I love it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so of all of the types of work that you've done, favorite and least favorite.
Hmm. Um, Least favorite, midnight shift. I do
Just
not like
anything midnight shift.
any midnight shift. I don't care what the work is. I could love it. It's really hard on me
Yeah.
to adjust to being up all night like that and sleep during the day.
I don't know how
Just
anybody does that.
no, it's hard. Shift work was a little more manageable if I rotated, but a straight midnight shift, no, didn't go for that. And just, I would say my favorite thing to do was the welding I did in the steel mill. There's nothing like that. I mean, obviously out here, you can probably find work in the mines and big, heavy, machine repair that would be similar. But there was just something about being involved in the steel making process. It made me feel more patriotic, more American. This is union jobs, American made. We're actually making steel. So there's a lot of benefits to that, I think.
This might be a little bit of a controversial topic, but you mentioned kind of the union steel worker. Like, I hear both sides of the coin on that. Being union, what does that mean to you, and how has that either been a benefit or a disadvantage?
So most of my career, I've worked union jobs. Union steelworker. I'm still a union millwright. I have worked in between non-union jobs. Um, so for me, there's pros and cons to a union. Don't get me wrong. But what a union means to me is good benefits, good pay because it's collectively bargained for, and a pretty good lifestyle when you work a union job. What I found working non-union jobs, there's a lot lacking in safety. There were jobs where I kind of stopped and looked around and having safety drilled into my head for 20 years and all the training we went through as part of our jobs and watching people operate equipment and being told to go operate equipment, which I've been trained on and I know how to operate, but they asked for no credentials. And so I'm kind of looking around thinking, do they know how to operate the equipment? Am I okay here? And there
Yeah.
were some things, a few of the non-union jobs kind of, it made me a little worried about my personal safety and those around me just because it just wasn't a culture there.
Interesting. Where,
Mhm.
what do you, I mean, God, there's a lot of questions there. Like, and I don't know if we necessarily want to open this can of worms, but those that don't support the idea of unions, what is your thought on like people who are against you? Because it sounds like it's all kind of win as far as safety and pay and benefits and I mean those are kind of like the most important things, right? What are the
um,
negatives?
so, I mean, negatives, a lot of times you'll hear people say unions only take care of slackers and, they support people who are lazy. And that's not really true when you're in the environment. I mean, obviously, if somebody is losing their job, it's the union's job to help them keep their job. But they're not designed or set up to take care of slackers. That's not what a union really means. I think a lot of the backlash that you get from a union or for a bad
What unions?
perspective of unions either comes from the company themselves because they don't want to pay the benefits. A company doesn't voluntarily take care of their employees and set them up for retirement and insurance and all these great things that especially as a United Steelworker we had amazing benefits. We were lacking in pay a little bit, but we had great insurance. Kind of weighs itself out. Um, so what I think is a lot of it gets put out by the companies. I think Amazon's going through something similar right now. Um, they don't voluntarily give anything up. So anytime a contract was coming to an end and we were negotiating, there was always pins and needles. What are they going to ask us to give up? And you never really gained things. You were always trying to retain what you had. So I think that a lot of people that haven't worked union jobs may have some negative things or have heard negative things, but they really would have to experience it to
Yeah.
know both sides. I could see plus and minus to both. I mean, as a non-union employee, I made pretty good money, but I didn't have the benefits, the great benefits, and I really didn't see much going on safety-wise. But that's my experience. So I don't know. There's other people that can work for a family-owned business that really, treats their employees right, and they may not see any reason for a union. So I guess it's going to depend on what you do and where you're at.
Yeah. I don't see it a heck of a lot on the mechanical side. As an auto mechanic, there's not a lot of places that are union. There are a couple of auto mechanic. I think there's two different auto mechanic unions, I think. And I worked at a dealership once they were trying to unionize, and oh my gosh, that was a lot of drama. It was very interesting to see people's perspectives on it and the very polar opposite kind of perspectives on it.
Right.
Very interesting. So, what else? What else should we talk about? There's so many things, and I'm trying to steer away from controversial things.
It seems like that's all there is to talk about nowadays.
I know, right?
Okay, so how about SEMA? Is SEMA a go this year?
Oh gosh, I feel like that's a controversial topic too. Yeah. Now I don't know. I mean, is Fab Tech going on this year?
I've heard yes, but I guess it's wait and see.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of the same with SEMA. I don't know. They're proceeding as though it will definitely happen. But I feel like they did that last year too. So I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, the next couple of months are really going to kind of determine where that goes. But at the moment, it doesn't feel like there's any end in sight.
Right, right.
Is there any talk of when you'll be able to go back to in-person classes?
So we're kind of the pilot program here at this college. There's three programs running: HVAC, public safety, nursing. Four. We have automotive as well.
Okay.
So we've
And
been
those are all
successful.
at in-person classes, or are they doing remote?
They're hybrid.
Okay.
So they're lecturing online, and we do labs in person. And all in all, I think we have between students and faculty about 800 people on campus at any given time. No instances of COVID since January, since it
Good.
started. So obviously the safety precautions we're taking are working. Um, I know that they're talking at the elementary level, possibly increasing class size. So maybe that's going to change things for the colleges. And I hear, depending on where you're at and what county you're in, there's different things happening because there's other welding programs running, but not here. So
Gotcha. And you said you're part of a pilot is that as far as like going back to class or as far as the program itself?
as far as in person, we were
Okay.
kind of well, they kind of used our program to see if this is going to work and if they can open up other departments to the same kind of hybrid learning that we're doing.
Okay. That makes sense. Well, hopefully you'll get back into school soon and being able to teach.
Right.
You'll be teaching welding again when it comes back? Or are you gonna stay in HVAC, if I can say that right?
Um, right. I have the same struggle. No, I definitely welding's my passion. I get all happy and excited when I talk about it and when I do it. HVAC is a very necessary trade, and I'm not downplaying it, but I just don't have that spark for it that I do, for welding. It's just hard for me to get as interested in it, and that's not fair to the students. I don't really have that same passion to teach HVAC as I do with welding.
What is it about welding?
I don't know. I mean, it's from that first arc strike. I mean, I was hooked. That was it. And then just for me, the satisfaction of fixing something, to see something from start to finish, the satisfaction of completion. Taking something that's ugly and mangled and fixing it, making it new and usable again. There's just something about that makes me feel like I accomplished something. And, a person like me with so many loose ends everywhere, to be able to accomplish one task, it means something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I remembered reading something you said about kind of in life we can't always fix the mangled and the complicated and the ugly, but in welding and in metal work you can transform something into
Right.
something beautiful.
And it's kind of a meditation thing. Once that hood is down, I'm focused. I'm right spot on in that moment, focusing on what I'm doing. And there's nothing else. I'm really not letting my thoughts wander and I'm not stressing. I'm just kind of in a zone. And that's probably what really hooked me with it because it's just 100% focus.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw a lot of your pictures are stick welding,
Hmm.
which is something I have never learned to do. I have a lot of respect for that. I'm assuming you've done all types of welding. What?
Not really.
No?
So stick was the focus.
Okay.
I have done MIG and FlexCore. I would like to get better. There's definitely room for improvement. So not only teaching, I would also like to be a student as well. I would like to, obviously up my skills so I can be a better instructor. TIG welding, I've never done. And
Oh,
I
really?
really, yes, I'm very interested in doing TIG welding. So that's on my plate for whenever schools open back and things happen. I'd like to learn that as well.
Nice. I want to do all of them. I would like, I do
Mhm.
MIG. I'm okay at it. Like I am definitely not amazing at it, but I get 100% that like focus and concentration and how everything else goes away. TIG, I would love to learn better. I understand it, right? Like
Mhm.
intellectually, I understand it, and I know what my hands are supposed to do. They just don't always do it.
That's exactly where I'm at, especially being a stick welder most of the time. I mean, it's really cut and dry. You know, you have your stinger with your electrode and you go. Now you add a second hand,
Right.
and I like, wait a minute, two things going on at one time. My left and right hand don't talk to each other that way. So it's a learned process that I'm going to have to go
Yeah.
through. But I love arc gouging. That's probably one of my favorite things to do, and it was my least favorite as a student.
What did you call it? Arc gouging?
Arc gouging, air arcing.
Okay.
So basically, it's almost like plasma cutting with an electrode.
Okay.
Um, so that's probably, we use it a lot in repair work, chasing cracks, you just skim it out. Um, I like that. I also like the oxyfuel torch cutting a lot. Um, Never made it to the standards of Isaac, icy weld, you know, but I really every day aspired to be that good. So
Right.
I like doing that too.
It's so important to have those people that you aspire to be. I see Weld's definitely one of them. Any other folks that you look up to as mentors and
Oh, there's so many. Like I couldn't even right now. It would be unfair if I tried to start naming names because there's so many people I respect, and you know, and I communicate with most of them, so they know who they are. And I would really hate to start throwing out names and leave some people out.
fair
But
enough.
no, there's so many. What one person I'm really proud of and watching him grow for the last few years is Scott Robbie. He has Precision Welding Academy in Houston, and he's an amazing teacher. And you know, he's young and starting out, and his school, his program, everything is amazing. It's grown in the past 2 years like unbelievably, and I really like his curriculum. So I would really like to bring something similar here.
Nice.
I think it's a structure that would work well, and yeah. So I mean, there's so many people that are inspiring.
Yeah. Is it his own school program that he's got going on?
Yes.
That's very cool. So
hmm
so you'd want to kind of create your own total own program.
I'm open to that. I don't have the financing to open my own school, but that's why I'm looking at the local colleges here. Obviously, they have the money to throw around, and I have, you know, the knowledge and the connections and the drive to make it happen. You know, I really wanted something. So if a school around here is interested in you know, if I pitch my program to them, I'm absolutely on board with spending other people's money. So,
Amen to that. So on your profile it says that you're an AWS American Welding Society volunteer. What do you do? What do you do with them?
So actually, friends of mine, George and Mariana, they have their own welding school in California here. It's California Welding Institute. They are also are the LA Inland Empire chapter of the AWS. They're the chair and the co-chair.
Okay.
And we became friends with them. I actually met them through a Women Who Weld one day class. I came out here to support and meet Samantha, and Hot Steel Welding. Cynthia was out here for that too. And it was hosted at California Welding Institute. And that's how I met George and Mariana. And they're just amazing people with such a passion for the industry. I mean, George is a SCWI, which is like practically unheard of. He's a senior certified welding inspector. So there's so much knowledge there, and they are so passionate about the industry. So they brought me on board to help out with their chapter
Nice.
when I moved here. So COVID kind of curbed things. They really have these really great like bi-monthly meetings that they did. They would go to a different business and there'd be a presentation and just, it was a really good time, really informative. So we haven't been able to do that obviously since I believe February of 2020. But they're looking at more possibilities of what we can do online in the meantime.
Yeah. Damn COVID.
Right. So much has changed.
I know. I just hope it's not permanent.
Right. No, it's not permanent. This
It
is
can't
not going
it
to be
can't be.
reality.
I will say it's been really cool to kind of see some of the creativity that is coming out of it, like how people are
Mhm.
adapting and and adjusting and doing more online stuff. And I was just on a panel last night that was like 100% virtual panel discussion. It was really kind of cool that's starting to be available and different ways that we're using
Right.
technology. It's kind of fun.
I think as adults, even at the college level here, with lectures being online, it's probably easier to have a job and go to school at this point. But I
Yeah.
feel that the high school, and elementary students, this whole online thing is not good for them because they really need their social skills that they're going to use all of their life. And you're not getting that from the Zoom classes and
No.
everything else. So I think there's pros and cons. I think it depends. I think as adult students, yes, the online school is great, but younger than that, we really need to get them back in person and interacting again.
How are your daughters dealing with it?
They love it. They do school from their bedrooms. So I mean, life doesn't get much better than that, right? But no, I think they do miss interacting. I moved here at a bad time. I moved here 2 months before the pandemic hit, so they really didn't have a
Oh,
time to make
geez.
friends
Yeah.
and things like that, so that really sucks. They have friends back, from Indiana, obviously, that they still can communicate with, but I mean, yeah, hey, times are tough. It didn't work out in what
Yeah.
I planned on doing because I wanted to get them adjusted and making friends before they moved into high school. Now
Yeah.
at this point, we have a freshman who's never stepped foot in the high school, and I have another one about to be a freshman. So yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy timing.
Yeah, go figure. No one saw this coming though.
Right. No, no, definitely not. There's no way we could have planned for it. But yeah,
Right.
that's unfortunate. Um, I had another question and then it totally slipped my mind. Dang it. It was a good one too. Um, nope, it's gone. Can't remember it. Oh, yes. So about your home studio, because I remember seeing some posts about you getting a like home workshop kind of set up. Was that back in Indiana or is that here in California or here where
So
you are in California?
kind of both.
Okay.
So I started putting together some stuff, and then obviously working with ESOP, they're kind enough to give me some equipment. And I had things set around in my garage, but in Indiana didn't work on much. I think I've done more here in California since I moved. But I'm really close to in a physical way, I'm close to my neighbors. Our houses are really close together. And I'm kind of limited in what I can do and when I can do it at home. But I have, obviously, around Valentine's Day, I made some roses just to make, bang out some work real quick and
Yeah.
put some money together for more consumables and things like that. I bought a pretty decent stack of metal, and I'm supposed to start working on some metal art, mid-century metal art themed stuff for Palm Springs area.
You're in the right
Um,
neighborhood for that.
yeah, things like that. I take, side work. I've done, I go on location. I help, build fences and pergolas, whatever that they're wanting. So yeah, it's still very much a thing. It's just kind of right now transitioning into this new job, still working at the college. My home shop is kind of just lacking at the moment. But yes, definitely once I get adjusted to this new schedule, I got to get that going again because I've got some ideas, and there's always things I want to make that I need to make time to do.
Yeah. What's on the top of your list of things you want to make?
Honestly, I have an idea of something I'd like to bring if FabTech goes in person. There's a sculpture I want to make.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of like on the back burner, so to say. Yeah, I'd like to do something where people can walk up and kind of really interact and have some really cool functional metal art going on that would bring
Nice.
people to the booth, and also just something creative and cool to say, hey, I did that. So that's number one. I have some fire pit projects I would like to make, and just whatever comes my way, really.
Nice. Has the artistic side and the kind of metal art thing, has that come more recently or was that always something you did a lot all along this kind of journey you've been on?
So I've always drawn a lot as a kid. I'd sketch and do things. I've always had a creative side. I never really acted on it. And when I first started welding, I never saw the possibilities that, oh, I can actually make things. I can make art because I have this skill. And
Yeah.
I think it wasn't, until a couple of years in when it started clicking, where I would look at something and go, oh, I see if I did this and modify that or create this using this.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you really get your skill set under your belt, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And me being creative and my parents always kind of supporting creativity and exposing us to art and everything like that, and supporting our artistic side. It just, when I look at something, I'm like, oh, wow, I could really appreciate the work involved in it, no matter the medium, but I really am drawn to metal art as a welder. So that's just natural. And that's another thing that brought me here to where I live is it's really embraced. It's everywhere. They have it in the street, in the public. People have ornamental gates and doorways, and it's just really, it's everywhere in the desert here.
Yeah. It's the same in Phoenix. It's cool to see how much support there is for public art and
Mm-hmm.
the kind of creativity, these like ginormous sculptures and metal installations. It's pretty cool to see.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we have 4 more minutes until the end of our hour. How can people support what you're doing? Is it just through going to your Instagram page and showing some love? Is there any way that they can support what you're doing with the school and your program?
Definitely, they can reach out to me, through messages or if they have any ideas, if, there's something they want built or, have any art ideas, they take commissions, so they can always reach out to me and ask, but really it's about the whole positivity, the networking and making friends and just really getting out there and we make a difference a lot just by supporting one another.
Absolutely. I 100% cheers to that. We need more of that. I applaud everything you're doing. I think you're incredibly talented. Seeing all your photos and videos, it's inspiring. I'm glad that you're out there making a difference. And I super appreciate you coming and spending an hour with me. And I thank everybody who's joined today to check this out. Make sure you go check out her page, show her some love. Support her art, support what she's doing. And yeah, this live and all of the past happy hour lives are all in my IGTV, so make sure you check those out. This will live there as well. And make sure you come back next week for another awesome happy hour with another amazing woman in the trades. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you. And keep being a badass, keep kicking butt out there.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.